We're going to have some excellent information for you today. I'm sure a lot of you are going to have some great takeaways, and that's really going to be our focus. So before we begin, just a reminder, I'm going to check myself here. Make sure your cell phones are set to vibrate or shut them off, whatever's appropriate. If we hear a ringing phone, then free beers for whoever owns that phone on us. Also, the wireless password, as on the screen, ASW12, all capital letters, it does matter. And so let's get started real quick. My intro, my name is Tim Kerber. I'm CEO of a company called MemberGate. We're a content management membership site solution, 12 years and several thousand clients using our software. So it's one of the reasons that Sean had asked me to come up to help moderate this. So the overview for today is going to be tightly focused on immediate and applicable things that you can do to your existing efforts, whatever you're doing right now, your existing efforts online to increase your revenue dramatically. So hopefully that sounds pretty appealing. First the bad news. Everybody here is leaving money on the table when it comes to your online efforts. I have no doubt about it. If anybody thinks that they have it all right and they can't make any more money online, then you're not in the right room. So, you might as well go check out another session. But everybody is constantly finding out what the best balance is and how to get the most money out of existing sites, out of existing promotions, whatever you're doing online. So that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at those holes in your financial bucket and help plug the holes and help fill up that bucket even more. So for the agenda today, what we're going to do, I'm going to, in a moment here, introduce our panelists, and you'll see why that they were chosen. And we have a great diversity here of experience, long time experience online running and helping successful websites make even more money than they were originally. So we're also going to start with some initial foundation questions by myself, but we're also asking for questions from the audience, and they've set up a fancy new way to do that. You can actually start submitting questions right now. If you have a laptop, if you go to pollev.com, which is short for poll everywhere, something like that, but it's pollev.com. And as you see at the very bottom here, I have it listed, pollev.com, and there's just one box. You put in the number 27072, space, and then whatever your question is. And the second that you submit that, I actually get the questions up here on my laptop. So I will be interspersing those in the questions that we're asking the panelists here. And that's done for the sake of brevity. A lot of times somebody will go up to the microphone with a question, and they'll be up there for 28 minutes giving a plug of their site. So we're trying to keep the flow going here. We have some great resources, and we want to get the maximum out of it. So go ahead, start submitting those questions. If you have them, or as we're talking, submit them. I'll be constantly looking at that and interjecting those into today's presentation. So now real quickly, the panelist intro from my far left here, or your right, I'll let them introduce themselves, but the short version here, we have Mike Allen from shoppingbargains.com with the dash in the middle. We have Jennifer Ward here for eboveandbeyond.com, and Tim Ash from SiteTuners.com. And again, they have a diversity of experience. They know their backgrounds much better than I can elaborate. So I'm going to give them basically 30 seconds to just give a real short synopsis of why you should be listening to what they're going to be saying to you today. So we'll start on the far end here with Mike Allen.
Thank you. It's really good to be here. I will be an affiliate marketing teenager next month. I got started in February of 1999, and I've learned a lot of things over the years the hard way. Experience is something you get after you need it, and I've learned that the hard way. So a lot of what you hear are just kind of my practical take on things as an affiliate marketer, doing my mainly coupons and deals on shoppingbargains.com.
Well, I guess I'm a teenager about to get my driver's license then. I've been in online marketing 15 years. Started out with Amazon over in the UK, and then I started Ebove and Beyond, which is an online marketing consulting company 9 years ago. So I'm a little younger than you, I guess, by myself. And we basically help online companies or companies to grow and build their online business, whether which tools to use, what that should look like, what your budget should look like. So we do email marketing, affiliate marketing, obviously.
Hi everyone, Tim Ash here. Run a company called SiteTuners. The way we started the company is we were actually driving a lot of pay-per-click traffic we're a super affiliate, and realized that the problem wasn't our traffic, it was the crappy landing pages that all the publishers were landing it on. So we started getting into that, and over the last 10 years, it's kind of become a leader in that space. Wrote a book about it. I'm going to give out some copies. Must be present to win at the end. And to run a conference series called the Conversion Conference. Next one's in San Francisco in March. So Chuck can vouch for that. Shout out. Right on.
Great. So real quickly, I guess, just for our benefit too, so that we know kind of the demographic makeup of the crowd here, just real quick show of hands, I guess. If you consider yourself pretty much a newbie or just getting started, not too far established along the lines, hands, anybody? So yeah, decent amount, I'd say maybe 30, 40%. So the rest of you, I guess you'd consider yourself intermediate or pretty well established and trying to take things even further along. That's good, it gives us some feedback. For show of hands again, is anybody doing split testing on their site? Okay, and out of those hands, how many are doing it all the time? Okay, I'd say maybe less than 10%. Does anybody, and don't be embarrassed, does anybody not really know the ins and outs of split testing as far as really what it is? Okay, there are some as well, and I'm sure testing is going to come up. I'm sure, because you don't know until you actually kind of track some of the things that are going on. So we will make sure to cover a little bit of that. And finally, hopefully everybody feels that they can do a little bit better than what they're doing on site. Even if you're making millions or tens of millions of dollars, there's always room for improvement. There's no site that I know of online that has it perfect. So with that, we're going to get started, I guess, with some initial panel discussions here, some questions I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go to some of the questions that are already being submitted. So please keep those questions coming as we go here. So my first question, I'll direct to Tim here. And I'm sure split testing is going to be a recurring theme today. For those who aren't, I guess, as familiar with split testing or what they call multivariate testing, not to get too geeky here, but can you give just a real brief synopsis of what it is and why people should be considering it?
Yeah, split testing is very simple. Basically, you have your current page. You might have one or more alternative versions of that page that you want to try out on your audience, and you at random split the traffic and show each new visitor one of the versions. Then you can figure out which one they actually prefer. But there's also a lot that can be done with just best practices. Don't let testing be a crutch. If you know there's something wrong with your site, just go off and fix it. You don't need to test a lot of things.
Right. Good point. Don't sit around and wait when you sense you're probably missing something, I would imagine. So along the lines of split testing for the panel, are there any preferred split testing tools that you have, especially considering the audience here, if they're maybe on a budget or whatever, some tools you can recommend to at least start looking at if they are not split testing yet?
Yeah, how about free or under $50 a month?
That's good. That's a good price point.
Google Website Optimizer is free. You can just go and set it up. It's also integrated with your Google Analytics if you're using that to track your pages. Unbounce is another good one, and unbounce.com and Optimizely. All of those let you create simple landing pages and visually and modify them in the tool, and very, very easy to use and inexpensive. Can everybody hear me? Not very well. Okay, can we get the volume up?
We'll just bring in closer one way, yeah. Okay. Those are definitely some great resources. I don't know if you guys had any additional to, I think Visual Website Optimizers want to hear some good things about as well. That's Visual Optimizer. So some good ones if you're just kind of starting, and I think by the end of the day you may be a little motivated to at least start testing some things based on the results. So for Mike, I was wondering, you've been online for quite a while, you have an established site, and I'm sure like a lot of the panelists, as you go and you visit other sites, you see things that immediately jump out at you that, why are they doing what they're doing? And they could be established sites. I mean, there's a difference between old sites and sites that are probably doing well, but, still kind of dropping the ball. And I was wondering if there are any things that you kind of see, fairly often that see, I'm wondering if they've given some thought about trying something different on that page or any testing that maybe that they should consider doing. Did you have any thoughts on that at all?
I've run into the same problem that Tim had talked about where he ended up with a company of SiteTuners. It's frustrating as an affiliate marketer to send good traffic to a merchant, to a publisher or an advertiser, and to see it not convert, and it's good traffic. So that is a common problem. And from my perspective, if that's happening, I just don't give them as good placement on my site, because any exit is a potential leak. Any customer leaving my site is a leak unless it converts. So I have to optimize the placement of the retailers that I list on my site. So that's one way I've dealt with it. Sometimes I'll actually contact the advertiser and give some suggestions, but you know, often their hands are tied by their IT department or something like that. So the best I can do is just optimize the placement on my site in most cases.
All right. And so for Jennifer, kind of similar in nature, but some of the clients that you work with, what's one of the more common things that you see them, you know, like the big things that like right away they should, you know, they've maybe been dropping the ball, maybe consider tweaking on a page? Do you see a common theme with some of the clients you deal with? Or?
Well, to Mike's point, being that I represent the merchants and try to make sure that our pages do convert, it's hard sometimes because people become married to their sites. They love their site. They know it in and out. They created it. Doesn't make it the best, but and it's kind of hard. It's like you're insulting their kids. You're like, okay, so some of the things have to do a lot of times with how the site's laid out, whether that's a navigational thing. Like I said, you know your product and you know your site inside out, so you're on this side. And I think it's hard sometimes for merchants to stand on the other side, the blind side, and walk through it because it makes sense to you because you created it. So I think navigation is one thing. I would say lengthy content sometimes is another, or not expressing the option to make content easier to read, maybe. Two things come to mind.
All right. Excellent. What I'm going to do now, I had asked each of the panelists to put together a series of a few slides here, kind of the most pertinent points that we absolutely want to make sure that you were exposed to today, including towards the end here, we're going to have some case study, these things were changed and this was the result here. So, for the first series of slides here is going to be from Jennifer, and some of her experience from working with Amazon.com UK and also her client sites and things like that. So if you have Jennifer come up and just present real quickly.
So I made it across the stage in these heels, yay. So just really quick, I wanted to kind of give you the short and sweet. When you talk about increasing conversion, first thing that comes to mind is don't force commitment. We know that in our real lives, so it doesn't really work online either. Let your buyers buy as a guest. I've had situations where I had clients force a registration pre-purchase. Don't ever get in the way of that checkout process. At the end of the day, once they buy, you have a back-end database. You can find out who they are, where they live, what they bought. Don't force them to give that to you. You know, you can have at checkout, you can have an email opt-in and use it later, but don't give up the sale for the fact that you're pressing them for too much information. Don't keep secrets. Another thing we all know, not nice. Make your return policy and your shipping charge easy to find. Don't make them get to the end and think, oh gosh, shipping's that much, or well, if Bob doesn't like this, like how's he going to return it? Make it easy for them to do business with you. Don't surprise them at the end because they will bail and they will not come back. The last thing kind of goes with what Tim said, and you're going to hear all day, test, 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 and test again. And the only quick thing I can tell you is when I started working for Amazon over in the UK, Amazon in the US felt like they had the exact way that things needed to happen. This is the way your landing pages need to look. This is the way the site needs to work. Well, we were dealing with British people, not American people, and then it turned out to be French and German after time. And so the ability to test and realize that what your competitors are doing isn't always the right thing. The way your site is built doesn't necessarily mean that's the right way to go. So you really need to test and figure out what works for your demographic based on your product and price point and buying cycle. Okay. So when it comes to cleaning out the clutter, keep it simple. Don't cram everything you sell in the store window. And it's so true. It's crazy because when you walk into retail stores, you're used to things being organized in departments or in aisles and racks. Somehow when you get online, everyone feels the need to make their homepage show all 60,000 SKUs they sell, or they just want to tell you everything at once. So try to step back and think about how retailers have been doing it for years, how you go into the supermarket. Keep it simple, organize it, and let them meander through the aisles, and don't shove all of it in their face at once. Show them the way. Navigation is a roadmap, not a puzzle. And so many times I feel like
clients of mine or retailers tend to not use navigation to simplify their site, but to expand on it. So it makes it really hard when people come in to shop to find what they're looking for. Just think super, super simple. The more simple it is, the easier for people to find, the easier for them to buy, and that benefits all of us. The last thing is a quick read. It's important to have all the content, all the information, but to present it in bullet points or an easy way to scan. You have about 3 seconds to keep people's attention online. We're not nearly as patient as we are offline. So you can have a click to more information for people who really want to read detail, but allow the casual shopper to quickly scan through and get the information they need without having to invest a lot of time. And making money was the last section I was speaking on. Don't ignore them. Keep in touch with your buyers. Everyone's like, oh, they come, they buy from us, they have a great experience, they'll come back. We all know, we have friends call us and we forget to call them back. You have to be proactive. You can't expect your consumers to remember you the next time they want to buy your product. They may have had a great experience, but there's something to be said for keeping up that relationship, just like we all do in our day-to-day lives. Think of what else they need. Leverage your cross-sells and upsells. You know what your customers bought. How can you benefit their life? How can you add to that product? How can you give them more things that they like? And so that gives them value, and it again entrenches the relationship you have with them. And the last thing is have a strong offer. Give them something they can't get anywhere else. So obviously if you're selling shoes, there's lots of people selling shoes, but it's how you sell shoes. You can buy your shoes anywhere. You buy them where you like to buy them. You like it because they're friendly, they offer good service, so on and so forth. So really focus on your unique selling proposition outside of your product. Make it your whole offering. So that's it.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. Actually, some questions came in while you were talking. So one was one directly for you. Did you have any experience or anything you could share as far as having a single versus multiple page checkout processes? Any preference to one way or the other?
Well, as far as checkout goes, obviously the quicker the better. You don't want to drag them through 12 pages. There have been some different technologies to come up where it appears to be a single page and then different tabs or pages or parts of it come up. In my experience, 3 to 5 pages max for a checkout. The quicker you can make it, the better it is. Like I said, you don't want to drag them through because at any point they get bored, they get called away, they lose connection. So the shorter, sweeter, the better.
I'd say, just to add to that, I don't know it's the length so much that matters as the perception of how easy the checkout is. If you say simple one-step checkout, and it really is, that's fine. But if you have a long scrolling page, a lot of times breaking it up into bite-sized chunks does work better. So there's no definitive answer to it.
And I'd imagine the navigation, sometimes you see you're at stage 2 of 3. Anything, I guess, that would increase the confidence. Does anybody have any input as far as what a good conversion rate for a solid sales page? Like the question that was submitted was using Zappos as an example. They do a lot of things right. Any idea what a decent sales page conversion rate is? We're talking 0.5% or 5%, 10%? Is it just totally vary depending on what product? Or
do you mean for e-commerce catalog or a single product purchase?
Yeah, well, they'd mention specifically somebody lands on a Zappos Nike page and what a conversion rate once somebody gets to a page, something like that. I mean, we're talking a very high conversion rate? Or?
Usually e-commerce is end-to-end, and good players are in the 10 to 20% of visitors, unique visitors, are buying.
Right.
But the individual page, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think it matters where you get your, what external marketing you're doing to bring it. How qualified is your traffic at the end of the day? I mean, if you're just out there casting a net and you're not really qualifying before they get there, then you're going to lose them because maybe that's not exactly what they were looking for. The more targeted you are in your online marketing to bring your traffic in qualified, then as long as your site's structured correctly, your conversion should be higher.
Okay, great. Another question that had come in was, what effect does split testing have on search engine optimization? And I think where they're coming from is when you go to a split test page, sometimes you get this result, sometimes you get this result. So does anybody have any?
Yeah, there's a lot of people are afraid to touch their site because the SEO is going to go away. It's not. Okay, the official word from Google, and this was several years ago when they came out with their website optimizer tool, is they're fine with testing as long as after your test you take your winning version and you permanently put it up live. Okay, as long as you're not doing some kind of bait and switch or cloaking, pretending that some content is something other than what it is. There are no problems with testing.
All right, excellent. So at this point, continue obviously to submit your questions. We're going to segue a little bit from like online storefronts to maybe building trust, authority, and also from being a successful affiliate point of view or a site owner in general. So not necessarily on the site. So at this point, I'm going to have Mike Allen step up and present a few slides here that he thinks are really integral to success in that realm here.
Well, there are a lot of off-page factors. We've heard a lot about on-page, but there's some off-page factors that we can do to increase our conversion rate. Part of the job of an affiliate marketer is to pre-sell the customer on the product before we send them to actually buy the product, because we don't have a shopping cart on our site, but we can convince them that they need to buy this product. So that's part of our job. So here's 7 things that I think have been helpful to me over the years to help use my existing traffic and make it convert better. And I'm going to go through this list here so you don't have to copy them all down right there if you want to. But essentially, we've all created a website, so you're the expert. You know, you have something to offer, so be the expert on that offer. And, you know, that means become the authority. If you're recognized as the authority, it's a whole lot easier to sell the product or whatever you're advertising. So sometimes that means there's controversy, so you can embrace that controversy, but provide solutions in it. Excuse me. But ultimately, you have to empower people and build trust, and then the authority and the expertise comes from there. We all have an advantage. Every one of us has an advantage somehow. We just need to find out what that is. For some of us, it's our partners and relationships we have. So we can leverage those, maybe with vendors, sellers, bloggers. Just somehow we have that advantage. Use it. So another way is to offer something exclusive. And there's a variety of things from special data to coupons, access, but ultimately it might be you. You may be the exclusive content because nobody can duplicate you. So think about that. You are exclusive, so use that to your advantage. Along those lines, providing better content, that's great for your readers. It's also great for search engines. So, anything you can do to enhance your content, you can give something away, you can provide better answers, more detail, and kind of what Jennifer said about sales pitch. I'm a little bit of I'm an advocate of soft sell. Don't hit them really hard to sell, but build that trust first, and the sales come after that. One thing that people come to affiliate sites for often is to help make their decisions, and they need more information. They might have gone to the retailer already, and their questions weren't answered. They didn't have enough reviews. They didn't have something they needed. So you can help people decide. You can provide honest comparisons. You've seen the before and after pictures on diet programs and so forth, and somebody standing there with a frown on their face in the before and standing, the most bulky position they can. Then they've got this nice smile, great hair, and all afterwards. That may not be an honest comparison, but you, as an affiliate marketer, can provide really honest comparisons. And you can add reviews and ratings. Just make sure they're legitimate, not scraped or anything. But you can do that. There's quality imagery that you can add, more detail. Some people are readers, and some people want bullet points. Some people want videos. You could do both. An example of I would like to watch a video. My wife would rather read a transcript of the video. So offer both. You've got room for it on your site. You could just do both. And kind of reinforcing what Jennifer said about the sales path, the buying path, I still say gently lead. Don't force them into that funnel. Once they're sold on the idea, they'll go down the funnel. But just gently lead them down the funnel. Touch points. Not everyone buys the first time. So if you can get them to come back, increase those touch points, the chance to touch that reader, that consumer on your site.
And there's a lot of ways to do that with social media, newsletters, chat, blog, a lot of ways to do that. Finally, or actually my sixth point, kind of the date versus the marriage here. If you have an option of establishing a long-term trust with your partner, with your readers, a marriage, not just a quick date, go for that. You have multiple chances of selling and establishing trust, and they can be a kind of an evangelist for your site. So I think customer service is very critical for that marriage with the customer. And that means there will be problems, there will be errors, but go ahead and admit the mistakes, correct the errors, and just be known for your really stellar customer service. You over-deliver and amaze them, and then they share it with their friends. They'll share your mistakes, so you might as well correct it and over-deliver, and then they really have something compelling to share. Say thank you. That's just an often overlooked thing. Part of giving something away, something exclusive, if you can help your readers, your users succeed, that makes them want to come back. And when you do all these things, you have a lot of upsell opportunities. You have a chance to touch them again, sell again, advertise, whatever, more opportunity with them. And finally, not to get on anything what Tim says, but it's really important, the analytics and monitor what your readers are doing. If you know you have a bad web page, like you said, fix it. If you have a problem, if you see high bounce rates or time on the site, if it's deteriorating, you look at these particular analytics. These are some of the things that I found to be really helpful. You have your big fans, your users that may come every day, and try to reach out to them directly if possible and see what they like, what they don't like. They have great ideas about these kind of things. And just kind of in conclusion of this little segment here, I think these 7 ideas are just some of my goals that I try to do, and we don't have time to do them all, and the best we can do is kind of do the best we can. So we're always going to have things that fall through the crack, but you just keep working these things and monitor conversion rates, monitor your readers and your users, how are they behaving. And one thing I do periodically, because I'm too close to my own website, I'll just hire a consultant to do a review, to find out how am I doing. Are there bottlenecks on the website? Is the navigation a mess? Anything like that, and just get a full review. And I want to learn what's bad about it so I can fix it. And then basically retool and make improvements. Kind of wash, rinse, repeat. You just got to keep this process going, and it never ends. So those are just kind of my hands-on affiliate marketing perspective of some off-page factors mainly that you can do to make more money with your existing customers.
All right, thank you, Mike. There were some questions that came in during your presentation. Let's see, in particular, in regards to upsells and downsells, can you just real briefly, for people who aren't that familiar with it, just describe what it is, but also how much of a difference can having proper upsells make during a product purchase, if you don't mind commenting on that?
Sure. There may not be as many upsell opportunities for affiliate marketers, but sometimes you see the comparison of good, better, and best, and then there's different price points for each of those products. But you may be able to convince the customer, once you have trust, that the better or the best option, which has the higher price point, is in their best interest. It may have better quality, may last for years longer, may better serve their needs. So that's an upsell opportunity that you may not have unless you have that trust first, where they view you as the expert. And because you say that best really is best, you have that chance to upsell.
I'd say on a related note that framing is very important. This has been shown. People compare things relative to each other. So if you have side-by-side options, always go with the most expensive one first. If I walk into a store and the guy says, would you like to try on a suit, then at the end, oh yeah, would you like a tie with that? That's obvious. But Don't say, here's a $20 tie. How about a $500 suit next? You know, that doesn't work.
Excellent. So one of the things with upsells, for those who really need the experience, if you've ever registered a domain on GoDaddy, for example, it's like upsell, downsell, hell sometimes. I was wondering if the panel had any suggestions on what's appropriate as far as the number of upsells and downsells through a process. I've been some I swear I couldn't get out of, so I don't know if you had any either testing or just anecdotal things along that line.
Well, I can offer some anecdotal evidence on that. Just from my perspective, when I'm going through a shopping cart, I like to be able to, because sometimes I'll see an upsell, or I don't want to be forced where I can't back up out of that shopping cart and add something else or change my order. And I've seen a number of carts where you can't do that, and you have to start all the way over. But that's a bad thing. So you want to be able to allow your customers the freedom to not feel locked in. That's part of that. Lead them gently, and I think they will respond. But otherwise, they're forced. And if you have any doubt, go ahead and ask a third party that's not too close to the product to look at it and just say, how does this feel? Ask several people to do that and just get some other perspective.
I would also say, I mean, there's two ways of doing the upsell. Obviously, during the purchase process, and make it intelligent. I mean, if I'm buying, again, I don't know why I keep coming up with shoes, but if you're buying a pair of shoes, don't offer me something totally not related. Maybe it's stocking socks, I don't know, whatever. But I mean, a related upsell is a better upsell than just going, oh, hey, and buy a t-shirt too, or whatever. And the other thing is, and we haven't talked too much about it, but the post-purchase upsell. So you purchase something and then it's very Amazon-like. 2 weeks later you may like this, but it's an intelligent upsell. You're not, coming at them with something that doesn't matter. You bought this iPod, would you like the case, would you like the charger, so be intelligent with your upsells. Don't just throw stuff at people, would be my advice.
Yeah, and then more generally, the hot point is when they've opened their wallet already. So on your thank you page, that's the most effective upsell, doing one upsell there. And it could be, again, a purchase of another product or a handoff to a partner. Context and being relevant, like Jennifer says, is definitely key. But they're already in an agreeable state of mind. They just gave you their credit card number. So.
All right, excellent. And one point I've heard actually mentioned a couple times in both your presentations so far is being too close to your own site and not really experiencing what the customer is. And you think they are. Tim, I don't know if you had any thoughts on viewing the site from the customer's eyes perspective and maybe how to go about doing that, because it's hard to remain objective about your own site, obviously.
Well, you should always view it through your customer's eyes. Most of us don't. That's kind of at the heart of my presentation in a minute. But I agree. Best practices and what I said earlier about testing even. Get a diagnosis from an outside expert. Like you can get a review recorded via GoToMeeting, and in 45 minutes people will shoot all kinds of holes in your page or your website, and you're just too close to see it. And you'll agree with them once you do see it.
Right. Speaking of that, I think now is probably a good segue. We'll have Tim come up here and present some true before and after testing, and I think some of the results are going to inspire you to kind of get in there and start testing as soon as possible. So with that, I'm going to have Tim Ash step up.
Yeah, excellent.
Hello, everybody. Oh, that was weak. Come on, guys, you haven't even partied yet. That's tonight, okay, and tomorrow night. Hello, everybody. Woo! Okay, much better. Welcome to Vegas, baby. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 tips for skyrocketing your conversion rates, and these are things you should be doing already, and chances are you're not. So you can laugh at some of the examples I'm going to show, but at the end of the day, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. You have these problems too on your pages, okay? Number 1, make your call to action clear. Are you smart marketers? Raise your hand if you're a smart marketer. Okay. All right. Well, half the room's smart and half are honest. Okay. No, just kidding. Okay, smart marketers. What are you supposed to do on this page? Quick. Read a lot. Read a lot. No, they don't want you to read. No, they don't want you to call. Click on what?
I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. They actually want you. How many of you are iPhone users? Okay, you might have recognized this easier because they want you to click on the iPhone. Isn't that obvious? Free 30-day trial. Click on the iPhone picture. Duh. Okay, make things matters worse. This is a pay-per-click landing page on Google AdWords. They're sending
people to this and paying money to get them to this page. Good idea? No, not so much. Okay. Make your call to action clear. The best way to do that is declutter stuff. Okay. Cut out the deadwood. Take a machete to your page. Ask, is this absolutely necessary to support my conversion? And if it's not, don't do it. Stop decorating the page with all kinds of garbage. All right. Number 2, ask for less info. Rethinking the role of the landing pages in conversion. Anybody want that free ebook? Oh, fill out this form courtesy of Adobe. Anyone find this ironic? Rethinking the role of the landing page, and then they have like a really long form on their landing page to give you that ebook? They're asking for all kinds of crap on there. I mean, look at this. Your name, email, website, country, department or function, job title, primary site objective, industry, and relationship to Omniture. Everybody want to fill that out? In my book, I talk about the form field test. Ask for information that's absolutely necessary to complete the current transaction. 2 parts to that. Absolutely necessary current transaction. Okay, don't ask for the kitchen sink. Here's an example. Ebook, good bribe, right? Hearing Planet. Buyer's Guide to Hearing Aids. Assuming that you want to get informed up front before wasting thousands of dollars, you'd want to have a buyer's guide, right? Great bribe. Look at what they're asking for in the form. First name, last name, okay, so far so good. Street, city, state, zip. Anyone have a problem with that? It's a freaking ebook, folks. What do you need to download an ebook? Not my mailing address. Who said email? Greedy marketer, bad, bad, bad. Greedy marketer. You need nothing, Zippo, nothing to let me download my ebook. What if you wanted it to go viral? What if you want me to pass it along to my aging parents and to the insurance company and to the healthcare provider? All these folks. Why are you even asking me for my email? Your nicely formatted ebook should be carrying the water. And inside of it, there's a call to action. It says, schedule your free hearing test. That's the next call to action. But the greedy marketers among us, myself often included, I'm not just picking on you, ask for too much information. Want to get a 17% increase in conversion? Take off the street address on this form. Let me see, this clicker's not working. 17% increase in conversion. You don't need it anyway. Even better, don't ask for anything. But this was the minimum that they were willing to put on. All right, how about this? Lead generation form for debt negotiation companies. Like if you're really in debt, we'll get you out of debt, we'll renegotiate. Look at this form. First name, spouse, last name, don't quite get the order of that. Email, home phone, work phone, cell phone, best time to call, state, blah, blah, blah. We said, what do you do with this information? You know what they said? We call them. We call them to qualify every lead because if we sell crap leads, we'll be out of business soon. So we said, what's the minimum of information you need to know whether to call them, right? That's a reasonable question. That's what ended up on the winning page. Yes, folks, the one that resulted in 51% more form fills and 800 phone number calls and meant $51 million a year to this company. Sorry, $48 million a year, I lied. It's pure profit. You've spent the money to drive the traffic. On a lead gen scenario, it's pure profit, okay? Now, what did we do? I mean, we changed a lot of stuff. It was a multivariate test, different happy couple picture, trust, and so on. But look at how short that form is. Which looks more imposing, this one or this one? Would you take a 2-foot standing broad jump if I asked you to? Yeah, no big deal. How about a 30-foot standing broad jump? Want to try it? That would be this one. Number 3, cut down your text. Jacob Nielsen, who's keynoted the conversion conference, talks about this, been doing studies for 15 years on this. People don't read on the web. Do you read on the web? No. Do you really? You're a very methodical person? Most people don't read on the web. We scan, we look for things to click, we look for pictures, okay? Grand Canyon Tours here out of Vegas, anyone? Canyon Tours offers 180 tours and activities in the Grand Canyon. Tours by bus, airplane, donkey, I don't know, whatever. Anybody reading that? Wah, 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 wah. Just like in the old Charlie Brown cartoons, right? When the teachers talk, wah, 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 wah. That's the web equivalent of it. So, hey, congratulations. Your 7th grade grammar teacher would be proud. You're finally writing in paragraph form. Okay, now stop doing it to make more money, okay? Because you need to write in newspaper style. Really fast, bullet points, essentials first, subheadings, things to click on. How about this? Rack-mounted servers, anyone? Anyone reading this page? Okay, let me ask you this. Do you understand there are 4 parallel choices for you to consider on this page? Do you understand what they are? Manage projects, manage contacts, share internally, and work in real time. Now, that's a good landing page. That's the home page of 37 Signals, which makes Basecamp. Keeping your promises, number 4. By the way, these presentations will all be available if they're not already. Did your mom tell you to keep your promises? Yes? Okay, the rest of you, what, raised by wolves? Okay. All right. Let me show you an example of how we don't do this. Let's say I Google best digital camera, which, by the way, if you have any doubts, is Nikon. Okay. It is. I'm telling you. Okay, cool. All right. Now, what happens when I get the pay-per-click ad that lands me on this? This is the pay-per-click ad I get. Let's deconstruct this. Best digital camera. Expert reviews of top digital cameras from Consumer Reports. What are they promising me here on this page? Expert reviews. Good stuff. Will that help me find my best digital camera? Yeah, you betcha. Over 56 digital models tested. Top brands, Canon, Casio. Oh, those are in alphabetical order. That's why Nikon isn't on top. Okay, top rated digital cameras, right? So far, so good, except for that little button that says, join today. Join today. You might as well say, kiss of death. Don't ever give me a penny of your money. Turn around and go back now before it's too late, right? They broke their promise. They're liars. I tell thousands of people that Consumer Reports are liars, because their pay-per-click people didn't talk to their landing page people. And the expert reviews that they promised me aren't here. What could they have done differently? Hey, show me a summary review. Show me the models you've tested. Okay, give me a sample review of a not that popular model or last year's model. Can you do all that? Yeah, at least set my expectations properly. Or don't promise it in the first place. You're going to have a lot better conversion. Okay, finally, make your trust visible. This is critical. In the real world, I can make some assumptions about people, right? I can look you in the eye, sir, and you don't look like you're going to shank me with a knife or something, right? Anytime soon? No. Okay. Well, after that comment, maybe. But you know, we can tell certain things by looking at people. But websites, not so much. We don't know you. We don't know who's behind the website. So you have to establish trust instantly. Here's an example of how to do it. We're doing this checkout or this quiz, free quiz for a company called Real Age. You know, you complete this health questionnaire, and based on how well you've maintained your body, they'll calculate your real age. Now, after the end of Affiliate Summit, some of you may not want to take it just then. But anyway, so you know, they ask for a lot of personal information. Do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you exercise? We added these trust symbols in the form of media mentions on the left-hand side in our test. Same audience showing up, 40% more people filled out the form. It's the halo effect from these other media sources. So if there's ever an as seen on, you know, any kind of media mention, masthead you can do it. Here's another example in business-to-business lead gen. Now this is a form for one of our clients, SF Video, for large-scale DVD duplication, right? Most of the page is taken up by client logos. If you're going to buy DVDs, you come to this page. Can you see that? You know, they work with Microsoft and Nike and Walmart. Are they good enough to do your little itty-bitty duplication job? You betcha. Anyone have any questions about that? Seriously? No. Okay. Think about the power of that. Another form of trust is social proof. People just like me having a good outcome with. In fact, lots of people just like me. I was going to download the Mozilla browser. On their statistics page, 6 weeks after it was released, this version said 500 million people had downloaded it. Yeah, maybe I should too. And then to make a double whammy, they had a map of the world lighting up. I was in Germany at the time, of people downloading that browser in real time, these little dots clicking on and off. I'm like, oh, cool, there's lots of people in Germany doing it right now. We all want to be part of our cultural tribe, and we all want to follow the cues that our other tribal members are giving us. So it serves as a shortcut to our own decision making. So use social proof. Lots of people just like you have had a good outcome here. Let me show you just one quick example of how to do this. This is a client, Credo Mobile, landing page for a phone offer. Okay, switch to Credo Mobile, get this phone, blah, blah, blah. Who thinks it's a professional page? Who'd run with this? Come on, be honest. Yeah, a few people. I mean, it is. It's fine. It's professional. It's on brand, colors, whatever. We found a lot of conversion problems with it, including lack of trust. Who the hell is Credo Mobile? Anybody heard of them? One NPR watching person. Two, okay, they're very progressive. They give money to charities. So we redesigned their page, and this is what we came up with. Now, you may not have heard of them, but in the right-hand column, have you heard of Greenpeace or Planned Parenthood or Doctors Without Borders? Show of hands. Yeah, duh, right? But no one's heard of Credo Mobile. So one of the ways we fine-tune this, here's what we call an attention wizard heat map of the page. You can upload a screen image and get a prediction of where attention is going to go on the page. And it was all over the place on the original page. On the new page we designed, we wanted to be on the phone and the call to action button, of course, but we very deliberately got some attention on that list of marquee charities they give money to. Do you see that? Very good. See how we did this with Greenpeace being bolder and thicker and more higher contrast? And we wanted the attention to go to the top of that list. And you may say, hey, BFD. And you may say a lot of ruder things. Anybody want to guess at how much better this page was? 70%? 100? I'm afraid to say only 84%. Was that hard, folks? It's not rocket surgery. Do it. So I'm going to ask you to do two things. Take off your rose-colored glasses. Stand up, everybody, quick. Okay. Now raise your right hand and say, my baby is ugly. My baby is ugly. My landing page has severe problems. Okay. And another pledge. Promise me, raise your hand and swear in front of all of your colleagues that you're going to spend 5 minutes next week fixing a problem with your ugly baby. Say, I will. Amen. Hallelujah.
All right. On that note, Tim has literally written the book. Landing Page Optimization is the book, and there are 10 here. For anybody that wants it, we're going to have a drawing for these 10 books at the end of this. Must be present to win. So if you have business cards, just kind of pass them in towards the end of the aisle, and we'll collect them on the aisle.
Yeah, on the aisle, and we'll just walk down the aisle.
Yeah, so don't come rushing up or anything. No back of the room rush or anything. So just pass them towards, and then the people on the end of the aisle. So
yeah, and if you're interested in Attention Wizard, I left some flyers by the columns in the back by the door. It's like 1 cent to try it. So.
Okay, so some questions that came up related to this and other things. There's a lot of controversy and discussions, I guess, on video sales pages versus long copy sales pages. I was wondering if any of the panelists had any impressions or experience on what's working now.
Yeah, video will get attention. That's the one thing we know about it. Whether you use it for good or evil is another question. We've seen it tank conversions and skyrocket conversions. More important than the presence or absence of video is the length, the format, the actor, the script, whether it autoplays, whether it starts with sound on or off, whether you show it to repeat visitors. So all of that stuff you need to test. You can't just say, oh, we put up a video, it didn't work. One tip is don't embed a video player in your page. It'll make it really hard to design the rest of the page. Use a little thumbnail size indicator graphic like on Facebook videos, and then pop it up in a lightbox popover so you could have a nice high-res experience and still be able to design your page.
To Tim's point, I mean, depending on what your product is and how much information you need to give, it's a great way to get more information out there that's not written in the old paragraph form. Because people, I mean, you'll sit there and watch a whole TV show, you're not going to read the script.
Right, and I think the case in point is, again, test. But you may be very surprised. You know, some things that work for one thing are not necessarily going to work for another thing. So until you test it, don't know. Is the rule of thumb. And don't assume somebody else is getting it right.
A video spokesperson also works. Those walk-on folks that come in, do a 10, 15-second intro, point to something else on the page like your main call to action. Sometimes you use them in combination. Video spokesperson to motivate the view of a 1-minute video on the page.
Okay. One thing you had mentioned in your presentation, Tim, and somebody question, I guess, you said asking for an email is greedy. Now, is that just a blanket statement, or you feel, a lot of people feel that they want to have the follow-up relationship and then continue on?
Yeah, so that's great. That goes to our sense of control, really. What I was saying, to download an ebook, you don't absolutely need an email address. You can just give me the ebook. Click the download. That's it. Okay. Email is a very powerful marketing method, and with Salesforce automation and marketing automation systems, like Eloqua, Infusionsoft, Marketo, you can do a lot with email. I'm a big fan of getting an email address. I'm just saying, give a lot of value and ask for as little as possible.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense for clarification. One of the things some people confuse is split testing versus analyzing what's going on with like analytics and things along that line. Google Analytics can actually show you certain things, certain criteria. And Mike, I know you watch some of the pages, and what do you think, looking at like Google Analytics and what people are doing with the site when they're there, what do you think maybe some of the important factors that a site owner should be paying attention to as far as increasing their revenue?
Yeah. Bounce rate is a very important variable, I find. Bounce rate is available in Google Analytics, and Google Analytics is free. But it basically means somebody came to your site and didn't click anything and left. So they didn't view any other pages. They just came to one page, didn't click anything on your site, and hit the back button. So that means you didn't serve whatever they were looking for. You didn't answer their questions, something about it. So I find that a very important thing to look for and to watch that number. And you're going to have a bounce rate, but you need to find out what yours is and see if you can keep pushing it lower and lower.
Yeah. So if your call to action is deeper in your site and say it's your home page that you're testing, what you want to test is not necessarily how many people converted at the bottom of the funnel, but just did you get more engagement on that page by having a lower bounce rate? That's a perfectly valid test.
Is Google Analytics still considered maybe the tool of choice, or are there other options that are better? Or I like the price, it's free, so that's hard to beat, but just wondering what your thoughts. Is that primarily what you use on sites?
I was going to say, it kind of depends. I mean, Google came in and bought Urchin, so I mean, there was R&D in there. I mean, it's probably not the best product you can get. However, they continue to hone it, and it is free. And you can get, you can get funnel. You can set up funnels to see, to Mike's point, like, okay, they bounced off the one page you sent them, but once they come in, then where are the problems? So it's really good to look at kind of the flow. And Google, I mean, for being free, people say you get what you pay for, but honestly, in my opinion, you get more. You do have flexibility. You can set up custom reports. I mean, they do give you some ownership.
Yeah, and there's also still a paid version of Urchin available if you want the support directly from them. There's a whole worldwide ecosystem of Google Analytics authorized consultants as well. It's not the best, but it's pretty damn good. And if you're going to pay for Omniture or something like that, you're probably an enterprise company and you're not in this room. So
now, for some people who may have analytics and they might have had it on their sites for years, but really the data doesn't mean that much to them. It's so overwhelming. I know I've gone in sometimes and I'm trying to figure out some of the stuff. Do you have any resources that you know of that people have had success basically deciphering what the heck is going on, or anybody that you know of that they could take a look at considering, basically looking at your stats and pulling out the nuggets in there?
There are companies that just specialize in making sure your analytics is set up properly and giving you custom reports that make sense for your company.
What price range are you talking?
Again, this is thousands a month minimum, probably
right.
Several thousand a month at the low end. I don't know that you can have human beings give you value below that point.
Okay.
A free option that you could use would be just to read what some other bloggers say about it. There's some really great content, like 10 things to look for in analytics, or just read what other people are saying you should find. And there's just some really good free content that way that can get your feet wet in the subject at least. And then when you're big enough, you can buy the multi-thousand
or go to an event and learn for yourself. In parallel with our conversion conference, eMetrics is the longest running and most established web analytics show. It's in San Francisco first week of March, so check out stuff like that.
Okay, I know it can be intimidating, especially if somebody's at the kind of beginning, intermediate, later on when you have a ton of cash to throw at something, that your options become a lot more open to you. So, I think that's definitely a piece of the puzzle that a lot of people kind of struggle with. One question was, how much, if you do split testing, how much traffic do you actually need to have statistically relevant results. I mean, somebody throws something up and they get 100 pages, 100 visits, and all of a sudden they say, okay, that's definitely the better choice. But generally, what do you feel would be a good amount of traffic before they can?
Don't even think about split testing unless you have, say, 10 conversions a day through your page or your site or whatever it is. And that's only enough for an A/B or head-to-head test between two different things. You may have to run weeks or even 2-3 months until most of the tools will tell you when they're confident in the answer. And you may have to pull the plug because what you tested didn't matter. They're the same.
All right. And we are running kind of close to time here, but I wanted to, I guess, ask each of the panelists here, as far as going forward. I mean, literally this could be a three-day event. We've scratched the surface of things, but I think some good information was covered here. But I guess starting with Mike, if you thought there was a takeaway or some actionable items that somebody sitting here right now, when they get back, Wednesday or whenever it is, they should immediately at least consider doing this. If you had any thoughts on that.
It's easy to get overwhelmed when you hear all these things that you should be doing, and the truth is we can't do them all. So I would recommend just finding a handful, 3 or 4 things maybe, that are just really good and that you can do. Take those away and work on those when you get back, because otherwise you just get overwhelmed and nothing gets done.
Jennifer?
Ditto. I do think looking at your site, I know we keep talking about that, but at the end of the day, the conversion of your site, the way people walk through your site is really the end-all be-all. I mean, you can pay whoever to do whatever to draw all this great qualified traffic, but if they land there and then they fizzle out, you've wasted your time, you've ticked them off. I mean, so I think really taking a wholesome look at your site, whether it's sitting down and going, okay, let me figure out in my analytics what should I be looking at, or whether it's having somebody, I don't care if it's your spouse or your friend, walk through, don't tell them anything, say, I want you to buy this, or I want you to find that. Where do they get hung up? What's the problem? I think really looking at home first before you worry about going out and bringing in people is a really important thing to think about.
Yeah, there's tools like usertesting.com where you can have somebody walk through a task on your site, buy a red pair of shoes for Jennifer. Or something like that, and they record the whole video session and have them talk out loud. You'll learn a lot about your page that way. My takeaway is, I don't care what you think, and not because I know you guys personally. I care about what your visitors think. So you have to tune in to WIFM Radio. What's in it for me? Tune your ears to that channel. Think only from the perspective of your visitors. Nothing else you do matters. Not what you want them to do on the site or anything else you care about. What's in it for them? If you do that and you put on that hat, you're going to be a lot more successful. Go ahead and pass cards to the aisles. We're going to come by and do the quick draw.
In just a minute here. Excellent advice. So as we are wrapping up, I do want to thank the panelists here. We have Mike Allen, shopandbargains.com, Jennifer Ward from ebove and beyond, and Tim Ash from SiteTuners. So thank you very much to them.